Hello, everybody. I'm quite excited that I have in front of me a very magnificent, amazing person, Mrs. MARYNA LYPOVETSKA. She's the head leader of NGO MAGNOLIA, and they make something terrific. They save the lives of children. Hello, MARYNA. How are you now?
Hi, Lena. Thank you for so nice words about our organization. We are okay as it can be in such circumstances. Yeah, more or less. Thanks.
Do you like to say something about the history, when everything started? Because I have read 20 years ago, this organization was established by a journalist and is quite famous in Ukraine.
Indeed, our organization was founded by initiative group of journalists who reunited their efforts, and the idea was, to use all available media resources to help search for missing children. So, as more people know about missing child, as more increased chances that someone has seen this child and can report some witnesses. So that's our idea, was to spread the word via media. We have a huge support of Ukrainian medias. More than 20 Ukrainian TV channels show our TV program Missing Ukrainian Children, and even we broadcast our publicity appeals on train stations, on railway stations, in metro, and so on. So people, when they have seen this missing child, would call us on our hotline. The hotline number is 116000. It's a hotline for missing children. It works all over Europe and in Greece and in every other country, and witnesses can report where they have seen this missing child. And all these years we cooperate very closely with our Ukrainian police, and all the information received we transfer to them to help to locate missing children.
How many people they belong to this organization? Okay, you have mentioned all these countries, but as consider now the pylons, the cell of this organization, how many real people are working there in Ukraine, at least?
In Ukraine, I can mention you very small number. It was before war. There were only 5 of us. And other people were volunteers who on voluntary basis helped us to create TV programs, to create this media, to spread the word and so on. But when the war started, no one could be prepared for this, and we received huge numbers of missing children. These numbers are compared with all these 20 years of our work, only for these 4 months of war. So we for sure needed to share our organization and to take some additional workers. And now there are 18 of us who works for Magnolia.
Like journalists, because we belong to the European Association, we're going to make our best really to spread the message and to deliver it also to other organizations so that we can also collaborate together.
Thank you.
Something else, since the beginning of the war, 24th of February, so this black day that humanity is going to remember, your life changed completely, and you have records of many missing children. What, let's say, are the dangers that these children they're going to face outside? Children trafficking, maybe organs, transplantation.
First of all, I would start for reasons of child disappearances, because before war, the reasons mostly were children or teenager age who run away by themselves from their homes, or parental abductions. But after the start of war, unfortunately, we received more than 2,300 appeals on missing children, and the reasons were horrible because, disappeared even the whole families who were hiding somewhere underground from bombing, or who were left on occupied territories, and their relatives in Ukraine, they lost connection and they didn't know, or are they at least alive or no. And we know some terrible stories when unfortunately, children were killed during the evacuation process when they were trying to run away from military actions via boat, for example, and boat was shot by Russian soldiers and boat overturned. And unfortunately, the child fell in cold water. And this was a 4-year-old boy in Kyiv region. And for 1 month, his parents and all the society in Ukraine and even outside of Ukraine were searching for him, because really there was a hope that someone has took him and maybe crossed the border with him.
Amazing.
Unfortunately,
stories.
he was found dead. And we are very sorry about this. We have such cases. But on another side, you know, the huge problem is that some children are taken by Russians and abducted somewhere to Russia, and no one knows what is going on there, and we don't have any, any possibilities to interfere in this situation and to force Russia to give our children back. But on the other side, I would like to mention the encouraging story, because we know a case of 16-year-old boy, Vlad Burak, who was kept as a prisoner of war by Russian soldiers. Why? Because of that reason, his father is a head Ukrainian representative of government, head of Zaporizhia region. So Russians has abducted his son because of this political motive and blackmailing this father. And thanks to huge efforts of all stakeholders, and especially of international media, of Ukrainian media, who made a big pressure on this situation, they let him out. And for 3 months,
sorry, we had an internet
interruption.
Sorry, Maryna, sorry I interrupt you. We had an internet wrong connection. If you like, maybe to repeat your last sentence would be very helpful.
So this Vlad Burak was kept as a prisoner of war because of that reason, that his father is head of Zaporizhia region, he is representative of Ukrainian government, and he was blackmailed by Russian soldiers who kept his son as a prisoner of war. And during 3 long months, this boy was kept as a prisoner in a real prison on occupied territories. But thanks to huge efforts of NGOs and of all stakeholders and decision makers, and especially of international media and Ukrainian media, who paid very much attention to this story, he was freed, and now he is free, he is safe. And this happened last week, and we are very happy to know that now he is reunited with his father, and he is safe.
Another question that I have like a query. Okay, we're adults. We know how to handle when somebody's going to tell us, okay, now is a war zone and we have to behave like this. But how is it this kind of new reality for a child? What about its resilience? What about its emotions? Can figure out what is going to happen? Do you have some psychological aid so that he can understand that now we have to live in this kind of life? Everything changed from one day to another.
Yeah, indeed, it is very hard, and we have 5 million Ukrainian children internally displaced inside of Ukraine, and a lot of children who are displaced outside of Ukraine, who unfortunately are refugees. And the big problem is with unaccompanied children, especially from the very beginning of war, because people in Ukraine just no one knows what happens next, and people just started to flee, to run away. And children were even let by Ukrainian border guard services to run away by themselves, because we didn't know how to save them, and they could cross the border with not their relatives or parents, but with some other people.
Volunteers.
It is good. Yes, it is good if it was, for instance, a friend of their family or some volunteers. But unfortunately, I know other situation when one additional importance is that children upper than 16 years old are officially let to go outside of Ukraine without any permissions of parents or someone else. They can go by themselves just. And I know such situations when children were so much afraid of war that they decided by themselves to search via internet for some volunteers, unknown people that would help them to cross the border to more safety place. But imagine what can be. It's good if you will find a real volunteer, but if you're a child, you have never been outside of Ukraine and you don't have any relatives anywhere there, whom you can find.
And who can you trust? And you don't know
who can you
have
trust?
opposite of you, correct?
Yeah.
And now I want you to describe me, how is it to live with the fear? Because, okay, now let's say it's more calm down everything, the whole situation. But like I said before, on Friday, they said that probably they will attack again. How is this feeling to live every day with this kind of fear?
You know, it's hard to explain anyway, but here in Ukraine, after the start of war, we have huge reunion of all our Ukrainian citizens and nation. Yes, you can't feel safe in any place inside of Ukraine. But on another side, you must live and we must survive, and our nation anyway will survive. Of course, it is very hard for children not to know what will happen next day and what will be in their future. No one knows this now in Ukraine. But all of us, indeed, we believe that anyway, the evil, we can't lose, and the evil can't prevail in this situation. So we adults make everything what depends on us to save our children, to help them, to support them. And you know, our government is making everything to organize a safer places for them and evacuation, to help IDPs, I mean internally displaced people. And even we are planning to start the normal educational process since starting from September. So our children, we don't know how long will it last. We don't know how much time will this war continues, but we must live and our children must live, and we must do everything what depends on us to give them as much hope,
love,
and
guidance,
as much
knowledges,
yes, and everything to continue live their normal lives, because of course we all hope that the war will stop, but the children will live here more and more and more, and we must do everything to give them the
future, the motivation, values, and targets to fight, to know how to fight, and to make the best of it.
Yeah, sure. They're watching on adults and they're feeling what we feel. But we in Ukraine feel that we will survive and our country will live, and we believe in this.
You're very proud people. I'm very happy that I meet you also, not in person because it's not permitted. But I want you also now to make a share screen, and you to explain to us a little bit about the Magnolia, the organization. Okay, so I have it on there, and I think you can see it. Okay, I put it over there. So 116,000 hotline restored after months in hiding. How many people, how many children have you rescued so far?
You know, we have received more than 2,300 appeals on missing children. Unfortunately, some of them, most part of them are still in search. But indeed, there is information that more than 400 children went missing alone without any adults or parents near them. We are very happy when we receive information that family and the child is found. And we have managed to track down and to learn that more than 400 children were already found. Additionally to that, I would like to mention that we are members of Missing Children Europe International Federation, and we are searching for our children not only inside of Ukraine but outside. We had the reports of children who went missing in different countries, and thanks to our cooperation with Missing Children Europe and members in European countries, we have found our children in Poland, in Germany, in Romania, in France.
What can Europe?
It is important that we can.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupt you.
No. For us, it's very important that we can, help our police in search inside of Ukraine and outside, because outside of Ukraine, our police can't search for our children. But your responsible authorities can do this. And thanks to this strong cooperation with other countries, we can support our citizens and children even outside of Ukraine.
Like an individual, I will bring you in contact with a specific organization we have in my city, Thessaloniki. It's called Europolice, and a good friend of mine, Alexia, is going to contribute to this for sure.
Thank you very much. Do you know the Smile of the Child organization? They are our very close partners in Greece. The Smile of the Child.
Okay, great. I'm very happy. I'm very delighted. We had this opportunity, and you could express a little bit of your work, of your daily life, and also somebody that is going to hear this interview, I think will take a courage, will take an inspiration to move on, because there are existing people like you that they put their self and to do things, to act, and like this kind of interaction to become our values, to fight for children. And life one day will win, for sure. War is going to be end, but we have to move on.
Indeed. Thank you very much for these words.
I would like to say something in your language, and then also to say something in my language like this to close this interview. Please go ahead.
For us, very important.
In your language. Speak from your heart, in your language.
I want to say.
Whatever you like.
In Ukrainian? In Ukrainian? Okay. Я дуже вдячна всім, хто підтримує нашу країну, всім, хто підтримує наших дітей, і європейській спільноті, і міжнародним організаціям, всім приймачам рішень. І ми віримо, що в будь-якому випадку Україна буде жити, Україна переможе, і наші діти будуть в безпеці.
And I would like also to say something in my language, in Greek. Είναι πάρα πολύ σημαντικό το ότι είχαμε σήμερα αυτού του είδους συνέντευξη με την αγαπητή Μαρίνα, γιατί μου έδειξε να καταλάβω ότι τον αγωνίζεσαι για αξίες παραπάνω από τη δική σου ατομική μονάδα είναι κάτι πολύ σπουδαίο. Και νομίζω ότι ο κάθε οργανισμός που αυτή τη στιγμή μας ακούει ας έχει ευήκοντα ότα για να συνεισφέρει, να συνδράμει όπως μπορούμε στα παιδιά μας. Δεν είναι μόνο τα παιδιά της Ουκρανίας, είναι τα παιδιά μας, είναι τα παιδιά του κόσμου και πρέπει οφείλουμε όλοι να τα αγκαλιάσουμε και να τα προστατεύσουμε. My dear Maryna, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
It was also very nice to meet you. And when everything is going to be over, you're very welcome to spend a nice vacation in Greece, in Ecumenical Delphi Union. Okay? So, life will win.
Thank you very much. Sure, for sure.
Okay. Bye-bye. Ciao. Amazing, amazing, amazing.